Hey guys, Adrienne here with Sheroes and Shenanigans. So, all right, this video is pre-recorded in case anyone's wondering why I'm wearing the same earrings and, oh, I have my earbuds in, I don't need them. Same earrings, the same shirt, and my hair looks the same. So, today, the tip or the video is called Don't invite people to a party you're not willing to throw. What do I mean by that? Well, all right. When we're going through all of this kind of stuff, right? Then we're kind of in process of feeling and healing and things like that, but things aren't completely healed. So when things aren't completely healed, but at the same time you're beginning to feel better about the healing, just be careful about the party that you decide to throw and who you invite. For instance, when I was younger, I thought I was fat. Now, I had a reason to think I was fat because something happened where I was told I didn't need more of a certain candy when everybody else around me was getting more of it. Just me was the only one who didn't need it. Now, I was going through my awkward stage. Did I have weight put on? Yes, I did. Okay. However, it deeply affected me when I was 11 years old, like deeply affected me. I thought I was fat for years, probably 10, if not a little more. So during that time, now the healing started coming though. So I thought I was fat, I don't know, probably for a good 3-4 years. And then somewhere in there, I started questioning it. And here's how I questioned it. Let's say it was today. Today I'm doing a video, right? And so today, my thought process is, I'm fat. And then somebody would take a picture of me. Now this was the old school, right? So we had to wait a couple days for our film to get developed or whatever. But I would look at that picture when it came back a couple days later, and I would look at it and go, God, I'm so fat. Look at that. That's like sticking out. And that looks, you know, whatever. So anyway, there's a picture where even then I was 10 years older almost. And I, you know, saw that little teeny like bubble where ovaries are, where it just kind of has that little round pooch or so. And I remember hating that picture, hating it, just, oh gosh, I can't believe I have that little pooch, right? Holy cow. What a shame to be a woman and have a uterus in there taking up space. Anyway, so around that time, and now it was a process. I was in process for years, but about 5 years later, I started really questioning myself, and I started going, wait a minute. You know, I have this picture, and it got taken a couple days ago, and I look awful. I'm fat. Ew, gross. Look at that roll. All that kind of stuff. And then a year later, I would look at that picture again somehow. You know, we were going through pictures or whatever, and I'd be like, God, look how good I looked. Holy cow, I looked good. And at the same time, that day that I'm telling myself I look good a year ago, I'm still thinking I'm fat. So I'd get another picture taken, and my roll would come back and be like, oh, look at that one. It looks awful. It looks horrible. I can't even believe that. Ugh, right? And a year later, holy cow, what was I thinking? I looked really good. I was like in the peak of my health. I had that young, tight body. What in the world was I thinking? This went on for years. About 10 years later, I did it again. And it's the picture that I'm going to show you. But I was at a drum circle on the beach, and I saw my pooch, and I think this was the picture that was like the defining moment when I just went, what the fuck? You're not going to do this to yourself anymore. It's not allowed. We're not doing this. We're not playing this game where we hate ourselves today, and then we look back and love and wish, why couldn't I look like that again, right? Because it just was so perpetual of a cycle. It was an awful cycle. Now, I had a massive problem sharing this. I didn't share this really with anybody. Like, it was all internal for me, very internal. And it was healing. I was asking myself about it. I was questioning, why the heck did I not think I looked good that day? This, all that went on for years. But somewhere right after I had finally kind of processed it and decided I'm not doing that to myself anymore, I decided to start sharing it. Now, was I completely done healing? No. I had only decided that I was going to start really healing from it. And the problem is that some of the people that I decided to invite to it decided it was a good vulnerability to pick on. Yay! That's fun. What? You're fat? Oh, you're not fat. But I'm going to remind you about this, like 6 months from now, that you think you're fat. So it wasn't something that I had internally really changed yet. But I was inviting people to this party of, I used to think I was fat. And then they would remind me, oh, remember how you used to think you were fat? Oh, am I talking to that little fat little girl inside again? And it was like, jeez, salt wound. So what I'm telling you is be careful for the party that you decide to throw and who it is that you invite, okay? Because that is a big thing in healing. If you know you're working on something and that you've decided to heal it, but it's not healed yet, if you know you've decided to heal it, then just be aware that where you want to start sharing at the beginning is going to be in some a little bit more safe spaces, all right? Now, what can we do in place of this? Well, one of the best ways to build confidence is to share vulnerability. Vulnerability is hard for people, right? So there are various places where you're vulnerable, right? Like you can be vulnerable financially, you can be vulnerable physically, you can be vulnerable mentally, emotionally, so many different places where you're vulnerable. And one of the biggest things about it, the biggest fears about vulnerability is either being picked on, embarrassed, or attacked. Right? That's what vulnerability kind of opens the door for other people to join you in. Well, I am saying open that door, but pick the thing, pick the party you want to throw. You pick it. Don't just start throwing out your vulnerability right away. Pick the one you want to throw that you don't mind inviting people to. You don't mind if they join you. And this is where I've always started. Silly. I've never minded if people came to silly. I was always up. I'm still always up for throwing a silly party. I love silly. You can come to my silly anytime you want. So that's where I started. And my tip is embarrass yourself every day, but pick the embarrassment that you want, because the embarrassment is the party you're going to throw. That will help start building confidence again, being able to share yourself, connect with other people. When you start feeling like people are connecting and you're connecting with them, then that's when confidence starts really, really just like skyrocketing, all right? So really pick the party you want to throw and pick what kind of embarrassing thing you want to do. Now, here are some ideas, because it doesn't have to be big, right? Let's see. Singing in your car. Yeah, I'm not kidding. You don't have to record yourself doing it. But if you sing in your car really loud and you're using lots of hands and actions, people driving next to you are going to notice and they're going to be like, what in the world? But hey, that's a party you might be willing to throw. All right. Another thing, I told somebody else to do this the other day, and he called me and said, what I did was I pretended like I got food all over me. Great, that's an awesome thing, because he chose to do that. It wasn't that he actually had food on him. He chose to put food on him so that he could just be like, what? That's fun. That's really fun. What else? My suggestion to him at that time was go through a freaking Starbucks drive-through and just creep up like, or whatever. Like, you're being silly, because you're going to get those weird looks and people are going to be like, what in the world? But they're going to also laugh and they're going to connect, because people can connect to silly. So that's why I do all these stupid shenanigans for you guys, because I know people can connect to silly, laughter, humor, things like that, but I'm choosing it. It's not necessarily something that I'm like still going, oh man, I'm really fucking stupid because I do all this stuff, right? I don't believe that. I'm choosing to do it. I think it's brilliant. You might not, but I love it. And I've got lots of proof that it is. Why? Because it's starting to attract fun. It attracts fun. It attracts love. It spreads it all back out. So that's the thing I've decided to do. When I was younger, going through my fat phase, I invited people to blonde. Blonde. Didn't care. I was like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Make a blonde joke. They're hilarious. As a matter of fact, I'll beat you to it, right? So inviting people to silly is one of the most enlightened ways to do it, because it's not necessarily like this tough internal belief that I'm just silly, right? We all have serious moments. You're not always just silly, but you might think you're dumb. You might think you're fat. You might think you're irresponsible, or you're just a bad person. So how do you get over that? You start embarrassing yourself, but you choose the party you're throwing, all right? Do not invite people to a party you're not willing to throw. Okay, now go be silly.